on the News Channel 5 network. This is Open Line.
Hey everyone, News Channel 5's Casey Mason here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on News Channel 5 Plus. You are watching Open Line, and tonight is Ask the Attorney. Now, normally our friend Kevin Kennedy of the Kennedy Law Firm, he's usually sitting right here next to me. I'm going to be missing him tonight, but as always, we are sticking with our social distancing guidelines right now. We are staying at a safe distance, but don't worry, Kevin's going to be joining us on the show tonight thanks to the power of technology. He is going to be answering all of those questions that you have to call in tonight. You know, anything you want to call in and ask Kevin, we are going to be glad to take your calls this evening. I've got the phone right here next to me, and I've got Kevin on the monitor here next to me as well. So let's go ahead and welcome our guest, Mr. Kevin Kennedy. How are you doing tonight? It's great to see you.
It is good to be with you, Case. It's kind of different, but I can recognize your voice anywhere. So we're excited about doing this. This is a new challenge for us with this Zoom technology, but we can get it done, and we're all in this together. That's the truth.
That's right. I said I'm going to miss you tonight, but hey, we got to stay safe, and the show must go on. And if I know Kevin Kennedy, he'll find a way. So here you are joining us tonight. Let's hear a little bit about how you've been doing. How are things at the Kennedy Law Firm right now?
Well, that's where we're taping tonight from the Kennedy Law Firm. And I have one of the young lawyers here that's with me helped set all this up with the master of technology. And so what has been going on? You know, we're going to see an explosion of all kinds of different cases. You'll see a lot of domestic assault cases. The phones are already, people are calling us because you can't really coop up everyone over a long period of time without emotions taking over. We anticipate, as everybody's watching right now, bankruptcies are going to be on a lot of businesses' minds and a lot of people's minds. And so we can discuss some of the options that people have to consider. If you see it coming down the pike and we see so many people that are unemployed, then let's take a proactive approach. You'll always hear Kevin Kennedy, the lawyer, say, get the advice, hear what they say, take a proactive approach. Don't wait to be sued. Don't wait till the problems get out of hand, because many times good sound lawyer legal advice can divert and tell you your options and really make you sleep better. The show really should be all about us teaching everybody to protect their families, protect their property rights, and move forward. It doesn't really cost anything. A lot of people, that's why I love this show, Case. You're always great to work with, but we can help so many people. Advice can go a long ways and give you some peace of mind.
Definitely. Of course, the number's right there on your screen. We encourage you to call in. The number's there, 615-737. Plus, you get to ask the attorney free legal advice from Mr. Kevin Kennedy himself. And as you said, there's a lot of interesting instances that are going to pop up surrounding this global pandemic that we are currently facing. What is some advice that you have right now for us, Kevin, before we get to some of the calls that we're going to take this evening? Just let us know a little bit about what you think about this whole entire situation.
Well, as you know, we have an explosion of problems, and we live in a complex world. So you should take a deep breath. You should think. You should be talking with your children. I hope some people will take some notes on things that I might be able to share and inform with them tonight, jog their memories, and so that they can talk to their children, talk to their parents. You know, we've also had a big explosion, everybody trying to get their wills done. And I want you to do that. If you don't have a will, people ask me all the time, do I need a will? Kevin Kennedy, the lawyer, says absolutely, unequivocally, relatively inexpensive, get it done. It'll help your family. If you don't, you'll live to regret that. Now, the situation on power of attorneys, you know, should someone in your family become incapacitated because of this, if you had the durable power of attorney done, you could operate their finances while they were sick. So again, we take a proactive approach, and many people don't know about a medical power of attorney, because really what that is, who do you want to make a decision over you, Case, in case this happens? Do you want your family member, a loved one, a trusted friend making decisions about, or do you want a hospital administrator who may not even know you, who's going to be absolutely overwhelmed if things go to the worst? So I would encourage everyone, and if you don't have it, I'll say it again, your children, your grandchildren, your grandparents, let's take some steps right now that can take a lot of grief off of your family. So that is some really good advice, and I share that with you, Case.
Definitely. All right, let's get right to some more good advice. We've got our very first caller here on the line. Let's see, I believe we have Jay on our studio line 1. Hi, Jay. Welcome to Open Line, Ask the Attorney. You are on with Kevin Kennedy. What's your question tonight?
Thank you. I actually have a question about real estate. I'm a little on the older side now. When I was a younger woman, I had a decent career, but I had a head injury, and I wound up losing my career. I ended up on disability, but through trying to be careful, I managed to get myself pretty much out of debt and actually paid off my house. My questions, though, are these. I am almost out of debt, but I do have some old student loans that I likely will never be able to repay, and that's unfortunate. I did make payments on them. It was never my intention to live off the government, and I opened a tiny business at a flea market, and it puts food on my table. But will I be able either to sell my house at some point and maybe buy a smaller house, given that I still do have some federal student loans? And will I be able to will this house or another house to my family? I not only have federal student loans, but I also now have Medicare and Medicaid. Will I be able to have that as an asset to send on to my family or to sell and buy another house? Or will the government, either federally or the state, take my property either when I die or when I sell this house?
All right, let me talk to you real quick. You probably need to talk to a private lawyer about your particular situation, but I'm going to give you some general rules. Right now, no one has sued you, and they have not gotten a judgment, and they have not placed a lien on your property. Therefore, you can sell and buy property until someone puts a lien or sues and gets a judgment. So that's one principle that's very good. There's also an idea that you should check. You know, it's always good to inquire, and you ask questions before you make statements. That's a sophisticated way to do business. Remember, when the police come to you, they want to ask the question, they want the answers, but you, a really smart person, can respond with a question, get your information before you set out all your facts. Now, one of the things that you might look into, is there a school loan forgiveness after so many years? So that's something to consider. You know, you're doing really good by asking this. The only reason I don't address it specifically is because you could have some unique circumstances that we really shouldn't talk about on TV. We're talking generality. So I would encourage you, I've identified those issues, and you did excellent. You likewise identified the issues. So for the viewing audience on this broadcast, identify the issues, gather your facts. You might get 2 or 3 opinions. You know, they talk about, well, this is my professional opinion. Well, that's why we have Court of Appeals. There's 3 judges. Guess what? They all have different opinions. And then if you go to the Supreme Court, Tennessee, there's 5. They have different opinions. So it gets down to interpretation and the facts. So that's why I like for you to talk to someone privately about your particular, but you did excellent on identifying those issues. And I did a good job sharing with you. If there's no lien, you can go.
Great. Thank you so much for giving us a call tonight, Jay. We appreciate you tuning in to Open Line. Let's go ahead and get to our next caller. We have Tina here on line 2 joining us tonight. Hi, Tina. What's your question for Kevin Kennedy on Ask the Attorney?
Oh, yes. So I was wondering, so throughout the years, I divorced my ex-husband, and what I found out later that his attorney was hiding his income. So if I turn her in to a board of professional, how much trouble will she get in? Is it worth it, or?
Well, here's the real world. Lawyers are all under the Board of Professional Responsibility, and when we are sworn in, we are to uphold the law, uphold the Constitution of Tennessee, and uphold the United States Constitution. Any law, anywhere, there's theories of the law. The law breaks down when someone commits a fraud or tells a lie, and that's perjury, and that is a felony. So again, what I would tell you to do, you might consider filing a new petition on that divorce showing that there was some fraud or misrepresentation. Based on that, they can reopen that, and they can make adjustments if you fall within certain time categories. So that's what I'm always more trying to protect your interests than get someone else against the wall, but you certainly have those rights if you know that was it. Many times, the clients would say, well, this is what my income is. The lawyer stands on it and says, well, this is what his income is. So who really participated in that fraud? If the lawyer knew, then they have guilty hands. There's an old legal maxim, don't come to court with dirty hands. Meaning if you did something dirty, then you're going to have to be held accountable and responsible for that. Excellent question, but I would consider trying to go back and reopen that, show that there was fraud on the court.
Great question. Thank you so much for giving us a call tonight, Tina. Kevin Kennedy, while we have you here, obviously you're one of our frequent guests here at News Channel 5. Always a joy to have you in the studio. And like I said, I hate that you can't be here right now, but right now this is definitely a great use of technology. So tell us a little bit about, the Kennedy Law Firm. Let's say folks are tuning in for the first time meeting you tonight.
Okay.
Let us know a little bit of your background.
Well, the truth is, I went through 9/11 as a lawyer. I've been a lawyer now for 36 years. Just went over. Don't ask me my age, Casey. But when I even say that, wow, that's a lot of experience. The Kennedy Law Firm is here in Clarksville. We have 3 locations. We handle everything: criminal law. We handle bankruptcy, we handle divorce, we handle personal injuries, car wrecks, all kinds of injuries. And so even when we prepared for this show, some of the lawyers said, how do you know the answers to all these questions? Well, if you were in the practice of law, everyone has problems, and we never know tomorrow what you're going to face. So that's why I like to share. I want to share. That's really what my calling is. I'm a Christian, and I want to always lift up Christ. And I love my pastors. Why do I love the pastors? I love them because they're on the front line. They're on the cutting edge helping people. And really, my motto at the Kennedy Law Firm, when we first went in, we put on the window, we're committed to helping people. So if I was a lawyer or not a lawyer, that's who I am. I love to try to help people. And if I could share some news with you, Casey, to help you sleep better tonight because of a potential problem, then that's what I would do. And so the reason you are being trained right now, because you're watching this program. You've got more training than family members who may have lived longer, but they haven't had the training or the opportunity to hear all these different ideas. So it goes a long ways. One of the things about wisdom, a good understanding keeps down a misunderstanding. Gather your facts, and I'll share this in the law so it might help spark some people's attention. In the law, we have the facts, and then we have the law. Judges interpret that law, and they have all kinds of lawsuits. The Kennedy Law Firm library, it's huge. Thousands of books. Now we do everything online too, but I still love the feel of a book. I've spent a lot of my time looking at them. Brilliant writers. And then we have the facts. And so remember, the other side's lawyer will interpret the facts their way, and then you can interpret them your way. When you have a car wreck, they come out and they say, well, this person was at fault. Well, that's not necessarily true, Case. We need to do our own independent investigation, measure the skid marks, show where the accident, the impact took place. There's just a whole lot of things that, unless you heard this on this show, where are you going to learn it? I'll talk to you just 1 second, and then we'll go back. There's a little black box on these new cars, and they say, so what? If you have a car crash, they can go up, the police can plug that in and get information. Okay, Kevin, what kind of information do they get off of that box? How fast you were going at the time of impact. Were you braking at the time? Were you accelerating? So when you have a fatality, the fatal crash team will come out, and they're highly trained and highly skilled. They know how to do this. So that's why you need a professional on your part. Whatever the problem is, take a deep breath, back up, get a lawyer to discuss the facts, and then you can approach it.
And then give Kevin Kennedy Law Firm a call. All right, let's go ahead and get to our next caller before we take a break here. We've got Paula on line 1. Hi, Paula. Thanks for tuning in tonight. What's your question?
Hi. I know I have a legal remedy because I'm told that I do, but actually the cost of it and everything else would be more than the grievance. So let me kind of explain what the situation was. I had a complaint against that I wanted a state agency to investigate on my behalf. And fairly soon into the investigation, which was entirely by phone, it became apparent to me that the investigator and I were just not clicking. He apparently wasn't listening to what I was saying, or maybe he had some complaints with me that he wasn't verbalizing. But at one point he said to me, "You can drop this investigation if you want to." Now, both of you listening to me saying that, you would infer from his saying that maybe I said something that gave him some feeling that I had some reservations about it. I had no reservations about it. This was just out of the blue, and I mentioned it to him at the time, and I mentioned it to other people in the agency, just so it would be on record that this was said. And then at the end of the investigation, it did not go my way, and I do have an appeal situation within the agency, but it sort of seems like the fox guarding the chicken coop. The other thing is that one of the things that I asked for at the outset of the investigation was they wanted some personal information, and I said, I'm happy to give that to you on the condition it is not revealed to the opposing party. And I could not have been more clear about that. And they agreed to it, and I mentioned it more than once. Turns out they did give the information to the opposing party.
Okay, excellent point that you made, and you were on top of it. You knew I don't want to disclose this information to the, and here's a general rule. Just about any kind of report you make, any kind of complaint you make, in America, they can get whatever information is in that file. So these state agencies, and again, you know, they can issue subpoenas. Attorneys have what's known as the attorney-client privilege. And so should your attorney say, we're not going to give it up, we'll stand on the attorney-client privilege, but a state agency can receive a subpoena and a judge can say, I want you to turn over that file, and then guess what? All that information is out there. We see that quite often when people say, I want to try to give you some information on a drug deal, but I want to remain a confidential informant. Well, guess what? Before it's over with, everything's out. So again, you make an excellent point. You ought to be a lawyer. You talk very sophisticated in this, and you shared a lot of insight for the entire audience. But the word to the wise that we're taking away from you is that you be careful, even though you say this, what is your ramifications when they mislead you? And that's what we happen. So touche to you tonight, and thank you for that call.
Yeah, great way to kick off the show tonight. We really appreciate all of you that are tuning in with us tonight, as well as those who are giving us a call this evening. As always, Kevin Kennedy is happy to take your calls, answer those questions here on Open Line. We are going to go ahead and take our first quick break, but we've got some more calls to get to. Keep it right here on Open Line. We will be right back.